Friends, welcome back to Cyberscriptus. In this session of Python learning, we would be looking at while loops. And we would be looking at while loops in detail today. So we would look at while loops, continuous statement, break statements, nested while loops. And we would also look at few examples how to implement while loop. So there are two main types of loops in Python, while and for. So basically loops are used when you want to execute code repeatedly as long as a particular condition is true. So both while and for loops, what they do is they check a particular condition, and as long as the condition is true, they execute the code block within that particular loop. So this is the syntax for while condition. So you write while, then you have a condition which evaluates a boolean output whether true or false, and then colon, and then you have the block statement. So if you look here, this is while condition, column, and then you have multiple statements. And these statements or the code block within while should be indented. And this statement would keep on executing as long as this condition is true. And then you can have optional else clause as well. So when this condition return false and the loop is complete, at that point of time, this else statement would be executed. So we'll see in detail while we write our program in PyCharm, in which cases you need this else. So let's quickly go to PyCharm and start writing our while loops. So let me create a new Python file. I'll name it as while loop. So first, let's implement a very simple while loop. Right? We just want to print some numbers. Let's say I'm taking a variable n is equal to 5. Now this is our while statement. And now you need a condition. So what I'm saying is n is greater than 0. So as long as this n is greater than 0, I want to do certain things. So let's say I want to print n, right? So now if I write this kind of loop, this loop will never get over because n is equal to 5 and we are not doing anything with n. So n would always be 5, be greater than 0, and this loop would keep running forever. Let's just go ahead and write. See, this loop will keep running forever. Why? Because this loop completes when this condition becomes false. But since we are not making changes to n would always be 5 and it would always be greater than n. Now, if I make a small change to this and I say n minus is equal to 1. So what I'm doing now, this is equivalent to n is equal to n minus 1. So I am decrementing n by 1 for every loop that is running. Right? Now let's see what happens. See, first time when it entered this loop, I decremented it by 1. So n became 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. And when it became 0, it came out of the loop. So this is how you write your while loops. And all the statements that are indented, they are part of the while block. So if I write something here, this is not part of while loop because it is not indented. And it would always print. So this is a basic, very simplest example of while loop. Now let's see few examples. Let's say I want to calculate sum of numbers. how would I do it with y? So let me take a variable number equal to 1 and total is equal to 0. So total is the total, or you can call it sum as well, is a variable where we would be storing our sum. Let me call it sum. Now let's write our while loop. While number is less than or equal to 5, total plus is equal to num, and num plus is equal to 1. And once this while loop is complete, I want to print it. So, so now what we are doing here, we have a variable called num and we have a variable called sum. So we want to sum numbers from 1 to 5 and we want to store them in variable called sum. Basically this is equivalent to sum is equal to sum plus number, and this is equal to number is equal to number plus 1. So what we are doing here is we are incrementing our number by 1. So when the loop runs first time, number equal to 1. Then number will become 2, then 3, then 4, and then 5. And every time the loop runs, it would keep on adding into sum. So when the loop runs first time, sum is 0, we would be putting 1 into it, then adding 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's how. So we get our number of sum of numbers is 15. So similarly, if I want to sum all the numbers till 50,000, I can do that. And you would appreciate the speed. See, so it gives me this sum within no time. Look at the number. We are adding all the numbers from 1 to 50,000. Even I can do 5 lakh. So this is the power of loop. So I am calculating sum of number 1 to 5 lakhs within no time. So this is how you calculate sum of numbers using while loop. Now let's take another example. Let's try to find factorial of a number. Now factorial is, so if I want to take 5 factorial, will be equal to 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1. So basically you take a number and you multiply with all the numbers less than that number. That is factorial. So let's try to do it. Let's say I want to calculate factorial of 10 and factorial is equal to 1. So this is similarly to our previous example. We would have a variable called factorial wherein we would be storing the output. Now our while loop while number is greater than 0. Now also what we will be doing is we will start from 10 and we would keep on reducing or decrementing number by 1 and factorial star is equal to num. So this is again equal to factorial is equal to factorial into num, and this is equal to num and is equal to num minus 1. And once the loop is over, outside we want to print the factorial. Let's see. See, I'm getting factorial of 10 as 36 lakh 28,000. So, as we did with the same thing we did here. The only difference is here we are multiplying all the numbers. While we are taking sum, we were adding them. So this is the only difference, but then this would give you an idea of where and where how you can use while loops. Let's take one more example. Let's write a number guessing game. So I want the user to guess a number between 1 and 10. Okay. So let's say our secret number is equal to 7. And I am taking another variable guess that the user would be to store user inputs. So now let's write a while loop while guess is the user input that user would be giving us is not equal to secret number. So the input given by user is not equal to secret number. I want to continue this loop. Guess is equal to integer input. Guess the number between 1 and 10. Print. Now let's see what's happening here is this is our secret number and we want user to guess this number. So when this program starts, when this while loop starts, guess would be 0 and my secret number is 7, so they won't match. So this condition would be true. So when the loop starts, guess would be 0, secret number would be 7. So they won't match. So this condition would be true. Now when this condition is true, our program would ask for input from user. And whatever user enters, if it matches the secret number, then this condition will become false. Till the time user guesses wrong number, this condition would be true and our loop would continue. Let's see in action. So now it is asking me guess the number between 1 and 10. Let's guess a wrong number. Let's say 5. Now, when I say 5, what happens is it does not match with the secret number. So now guess is equal to 5, but secret number is equal to 7. So they don't match. And our condition is not equal to. So it returns a true and this loop continues. Now, as soon as I guess the right number, I get congratulations, you guessed it. So what is happening here is, as soon as I guess the right number, 7 is not equal to 7. So this return false, and as soon as it return false, the program comes out of the loop and prints this statement. So I hope this is clear to you. Next, let us see use of continue statement. So sometimes what happens is my loop is going on, but I don't want to execute the entire loop under some condition, and I want to go back to my starting point. Let me give you an example so that to make it clear. Let's say I want to print only odd numbers, right? I want to print odd numbers. I am taking a number n. So I want to print all the odd numbers between 1 and 10. While n is greater than 0, we are decrementing n first. And let's say now first print n. Let's see what happens. So, oh, what's happening? N is equal to 10. Oh, this is 10. Let's run it again. So see what is happening is I'm entering all the numbers from 10 to 1. But my requirement is I should print only odd numbers. I don't want to print even numbers. So in such condition, continue statement is useful. What I can do here is I can write if statement if n mod 2 is equal to 0, continue. Now what happens here is see if n mod 2 is 0, that means it is an even number. If it is even number, it encounters continue and it goes back to while to the starting point. It does not execute any statement below this continue statement. So this print statement will not get executed if n mod 2 equal to 0. So this is the use of continue statement. Let's see now what happens. Let me comment out this, otherwise it would keep on asking me every time. Okay, let's see what happened now. Again, I made the same mistake. See, now I'm getting only odd numbers. I'm not getting even numbers. So again, what is happening is, if I don't have the statement, it would print all the numbers 765432110. But as soon as I put this continue statement, what is happening is, if number is even, then this condition will become true. And as soon as the condition is true, this continue statement is executed. Continue simply what continue does is it does not execute the remaining while block. And it does not even come out of the while block. It goes to the starting point again and that while loop starts again. So for example, if I have a while loop like number is equal to 10 while number is greater than 0, print n is equal to and printing a statement outside while. Now what happens here? See, I'm not printing anything here. I'm just decrementing n and I want to come out of this loop. See my program completes successfully. Okay, okay, let's see. See my program completes successfully. But if I put a continue statement here, what would happen without any if? In this case, this statement would never get executed because as soon as the loop starts, it would encounter continue statement, it would go to starting point again. So only these two lines will keep on executing now and my program will not exit. Let's see. You see this red button? It means this program is continuously being executed. So this loop is continuously going on. Only these two lines are going on. Because what continue does is it does not execute the remaining while block. Let's just stop it. Let me stop. So I hope the use of continue is clear. Now let's look at another statement that is called a break statement. Use of break. Now let's say I have a list. I have a list, and I want to find out if a particular element is within this list or not using while loop. So because it is a list and I want to access it using index, I will have one index variable, and I want another variable wherein I would be storing what item I want to find out. So I want to find out whether this find item is available in list or not. So in this case, find item is equal to 20. So we want to find out whether this 20 is available in this list or not using while loop. Now let's write our while statement. While our index is less than length my list. So basically what we want is we would have starting index of 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because it is less than length, it won't go to length. It won't go to 5. If it would have been equal to, less than equal to, then it will go to length, and in that case we will get an index out of bound error. Okay. So now what I want to do is if my list index is equal to find item, right? So we got our item. Then what we want to do is print item found at index. Okay. So let's say this item was 10 and index would be 0. So as soon as the loop start, my list 0 would match. So my list 0 would be 10 and when my find item is also 10. So this condition would return true and we would get our item. Now, since we got our item, there is no point in continuing this loop now, right? So I want to come out of this loop. I don't want to continue executing rest of the loop. So in such case, I can use a break statement. So what break does is basically it comes out of the loop and let us increment our index. So what is happening here again? This is my list. I want to start from index 0 and I want to find this item. So what I'm doing is if my list index is equal to find item, so the item in the list matches my item in the find item variable, then I print this because I got my item. And now since we found our item and we are done with what we wanted to do, we don't want to continue with our list. So that's when break helps and we can come out of this loop. And this is just for incrementing our index. So if we don't do this, index would always be 0 and this loop would continue endlessly. Let's see item found at index 0. So what happens is this loop only run once because let's say your list has 10,000 items, right? And you found your item on the 500th index. So there is no point in executing your loop for rest of the items. So you can just come out. Let's say I want to find 20. So my index is found at index 3. Item is found at index 3. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3. Now once I found this, it will break from there and it won't execute rest of the loop. Okay. There is one more statement that is called else, while else. Now, what is while else? So else is an optional statement and it executes only when this condition is false. So if I put an else here, print item not found in list. See now what happens? Let's say my item is 25. Item not found in list. So when this entire loop completes, then only and this condition becomes false, then only this part gets executed. But if my loop, if I come out of the loop using break statement, this else won't get executed. So you see the difference, right? So the difference between putting this statement here, in this case, this would be executed every time. So see if I run this, I would always, this would get executed, or this would always get executed, whether I find the item or not. So if it is 20, see, I found the index, but still it is getting executed. So if something is out of the loop, outside the loop, it would always get executed. But if you want to execute some code block, which needs to be executed only when this condition is false and the while loop comes out when this condition gets false, then put it in the else part. Let's see one more example. Let's iterate a list using while. So generally for iterating list, we use for, but using while also you can do that. So what you can do is, this is our list. Let's use this my list only. So it's very easy to iterate a list using while. You can see a while my list print my list dot pop. See, so because it is pop, it would take out the element that was added the last first. So it is last in first out pop. So 15 was the last element added, so it would come out first. 20 was second. So that's how it is. Now let's take one more example. Let's take an example of nested while loops. So when I say nested while loops, it is while within a while loop. Let's say I want to print numbers this way. So multiples of 2, 6, 8, then multiples of 3, and so on and so forth. So how we can do it? So to do this, we need two while loops, a while within while. Let's say I have variable called I equal to 1, and this is our first while loop. And within that, I have another while loop, and I say j is equal to 1, while j is less than or equal to, let's say 3, print I multiplied by j is equal to multiplied by j. Let's increment j and also increment I. This is a new line, and I plus is equal to 1. Let's see now. Sorry, I guess 55 multiplied by j. I don't want new lines. Eh, Yeah, you see what is happening here is I have two loops. So first I is equal to 1, it would start with I equal to 1 and j equal to 1. So let's consider this part. So I is equal to 1 and j is also 1. So 1 multiplied by 1 is here. Then j becomes 2. So 1 multiplied by 2. And finally j becomes 3. So that is 1 multiplied by 3. So that is 3. Then we increment, then we come out of this loop as soon as j becomes 4. We print a new line. So after this line, whatever we print next would be coming to next line. So that is our print statement. And then we increment I. So now I becomes 2. So and again we go into this loop. J is equal to 1. So 2 multiplied by 1 is 2. Then j is incremented. J becomes 2. 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. 2 multiplied by 3 is 6. Again we come out of this j loop and we execute this print statement. So there is a new line printed. And then we loop more again. So if I want to increase this, so this is how it would look like. So if I increase my j, I would be incrementing it horizontally. If I increment my I, I would be able to increment vertically. So let's say I make it 10. So it would go all the way up to 10. See, and as I increment my j, I will be able to increment horizontal. So if I decrease it to 5, then we'll go little 5. So this is how you can implement nested loops, nested while loops. Let's take one more example. Let's take a use case where we print multiplication tables. Again, let's take I is equal to 1, excuse me, where while I is less than, let's go till 5. We want to print tables up to 5 because we want to have nested loops. I'm taking j while j is less than or equal to 10. So basically, we want to take one I, 1 multiplied by 1, and we want to multiply it 10 times. So 1 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 2, 1 multiplied by 3, all the way up to 1 multiplied by 10. And now let's print I multiplied by j is equal to I multiplied by J. Let's increment J. Let's increment I, and let's let's see. See, this is how it looks like. This is a multiplication table for 1. Let's format it a bit. Print. Now let's say at present we are getting this table, all these tables like this. Let's say I want this multiplication table for 2 besides 1 here rather than under 1. So what I can do is I can say print f I plus 1 multiplied by j is equal to I plus 1 multiplied by j. Now we want we don't want this line to be below 1. So what I can do is I need to put an end here with space. So now what happens is this next line would be adjacent to these lines rather than under them. And now we want to increment I by 2. Let's see. Double quote. Okay, that's well. See now what happens is we have two tables side by side. One in second table. Okay. I don't want this. And let's put some space. See. Now let's say you want three columns rather than two. Currently we are having two columns. We want third column. So what we can do here is we can put end here so that we don't have a new line. And here we say that fi plus 2 multiplied by j is equal to I plus 2 multiplied by j. And then let's put a new line here. See how does it look like. Implement this by 3 now. What happened again? Oh, typo. See now what we did was now you see this we are printing this multiple multiplication table in three columns now. And we are making changes to this I accordingly. I hope you understand the logic here. So what we are doing is we are starting with I equal to 1. Now in first group we are printing three tables 1, 2 and 3. So now your I should be incremented to 4. So what we are doing is I is equal to I plus 3. So now I is 4. So when it goes here, it goes into the loop. But now what happens is when the condition was checked, I was 4 and I was less than 5. And when it entered this loop, we printed 4, 5 and 6. So that's why we are able to go till 6 twice less than 5. I hope that makes it clear. Let's take one more example. Let's make that you remember the number guess game, right? That we did here, the number guess game, this number guessing game. Let's rewrite it. Let's add some more complexity to it, and let's use nested while loops. So number guessing game version 2, let's say. Now for that we need, see here, what we did was the secret number was static number, right? But now I want a random number here. So we would import a library random to do that. Let's write a program now. So when we wrote this program previously, we had secret number S7. But now what we want is we want to get it random. So we say random dot rand integer 1 comma 10. Now what does basically this random do? So the random library has many functions that returns you random numbers. So I want the random integer between two numbers. So let's say I say 1 and 10. So it will give me a random number between 1 and 10. If I say 100, it would give me a random number between 1 and 100. Now let's start our programming. So I say while true. So till the time user guesses this number right, I want to continue. So let's print a statement. Welcome to number guessing game. I want to log the attempts. So we take a variable. Now let's have another while loop, and we want user to guess a number. So guess would be equal to integer input guess a number between 1 and 10. And I also want to tell him what attempt number is this. So this is my first attempt, and I'm starting attempt from 0. So I'm adding 1. Now let's increment the attempt first. So if the number guessed by user is equal to a secret number, then what we want to do is we want to print first, congratulations, you guessed right number in attempts. So we want to tell him that he gets the right number in how many attempts. And we want to come out. Because as soon as the user guesses the right number, the game is over and we want to come out of the loop. So it will come out of the loop. Now, else if what we want to say is else if guess is greater than secret number, then we want to say print too high, try again. And else if guess is less than secret number, then we want to print too low, try again. So see what is happening here is we are asking user to guess for a number. If number matches, then we say congratulations, we come out of this inner while loop. Else we tell him that it is high or low. Now, as soon as we come out of this inner while loop, let's say user has guessed it correctly. So what we do is we ask user, do you want to play again? And we want him to reply yes or no. If play again not lower is not equal to yes. Now why we are doing it lower? Because the user may type a capital Y yes or Y capital and yes in lower. So I want to check for all the permutation combinations. What I'm doing is we are just whatever user is giving us, we compare it to lower and check with the lowercase yes. So if user says anything other than yes, then we say thanks for playing, goodbye, and break. Now this break would break us out of outer while loop. While this break would break us out of inner while loop. See, we have two while loops. What this first while loop does? First while loop does is it keep on asking user whether you want to play again and again. That is the only thing that outer while loop is doing. Inner while loop is actually asking for a guess and checking if that guess matches the secret number. So till the time the secret number matches with the user's input, the inner while loop will keep on going. Let's see how it works out. So here I need to complete my bracket. Let's run again. See, so this is welcome to number guessing game. So my outer while loop is started, attempt is 0, and now my inner while loop is also started because there are no conditions here. It's just true. So true is always true. So it is asking me for to guess a number. Let's say I'm guessing number 5. So it is saying too low. So this if was matched and executed. So 5 is too low. So next attempt I want to make it is 7. Now 7 is too high. So now 5 was low, 7 is low, so number should be 6. Now I say 6. Now as soon as I say 6, this if condition matches. It prints out this congratulation message. This is our congratulation message. And we have a break statement. So what break does is, break takes us out of this code block This highlighted code block is what the inner while loop is. So inner break statements take us out of this loop and we reach here. And you get this statement. Do you want to play again? If I say yes, as soon as I said yes, see if I'm saying yes, we don't have any condition here to match that. So nothing was printed. You can have a statement like else print starting game again. We can have that. So if we have that, then it would print it here. Now again, it printed this welcome to number guessing game. Attempt was reinitialized to 0 and our inner while loop started again. So I hope these things are clear. So this is all about while loops. We saw very simple. We started with very simple while loops and we looked at some complex while loops. We looked at break, continue statements, and finally we went into nested while loops and we saw a few examples. I'll suggest you all go back and practice these while statements to get hold of this. And if you have any queries or questions, drop me a comment and I'll reply you back. Thanks.